The green room was a bit of a mystery, and I was accompanied by my young child. I could sense her fear, so we ceased taking her there. She stayed at home with a babysitter. Do you realize that we deal with evil in this world by punishing it? The media is in disbelief over the news regarding Daystar Television's beloved host, Joni Lamb. It's all over the news, but nobody knows for sure. What caused her to become disoriented, and how does this impact her career and Daystar's trajectory? When we have more information regarding this tragic news regarding Joni Lamb, we will share it with you. Joni Lamb's children, Jonathan and Susie Lamb, shocked the Christian community today with a major announcement regarding their mother's health and her poor personal choices. Concerns about the Lamb family's secret issues have finally surfaced after a long time of building tension. Even though her health has worsened, Jonathan and Susie informed everyone that Joni will not be appearing on the Christian television network Daystar, which her late husband Marcus Lamb founded. Reporters and fans were accustomed to seeing Joni on television, so her recent disappearance has prompted speculation. Her children have now provided heartfelt responses to those questions. Susie and Jonathan were both concerned about their mother's emotional and physical well-being. They claim that Joni's rapid deterioration in health was the reason she avoided the spotlight. The son of Jonathan and his mother has been going through some tough times, according to Jonathan. The release went on to say, "We've watched her change and it's been heartbreaking," clarifying that Joni's absence from Daystar shows was more than just a temporary setback. It was an indication of more serious health issues. Initially, it was merely a health update, but it soon escalated into something considerably more concerning. When asked how they felt about Joni's behavior in the past few years, Jonathan and Susie were quite forthright. They quickly shifted the focus of their public statement to criticize their mother's treatment of her family, particularly in the aftermath of their father Marcus Lamb's death. Everyone could see that, despite their outward displays of unity and religion, their family relationship had deteriorated following Marcus's death, and that it had taken a toll on their emotions. The deterioration of Joni's relationships with her children was a major concern. Because of his long-standing friendship with Daystar, Jonathan was the first to speak out. He painted a picture of a mother who was becoming increasingly difficult to communicate with as he detailed the deterioration of relations between Susie, their mother, and himself. Jonathan claims that his mother no longer provides the same level of love and support that she once did. She started acting mean, distant, and icy. He continued by saying that since Marcus's death in 2021, Joni's actions had grown increasingly strange. According to Jonathan, he and Susie had tried to bring up their issues with their mother on multiple occasions, but she consistently rejected them, became furious, and showed no interest. According to Jonathan, she was always quick to blame us for everything. Jonathan continued, "If anything went wrong, it was our fault. The more we tried to reach out to her, the farther she pushed us away. It hurts to see her like this." Jonathan and Susie claimed that Joni's psychological distance from their family was exacerbated by her cold and cruel behavior toward them. They informed him that Joni had transformed into someone other than the caring mother they remembered. "The woman who loved and helped us, the one we once knew, is dead," Susie said, her voice trembling with emotion. The children shared, "After Dad died, it was like something in her broke, and she turned into someone we didn't recognize anymore. It was a dark shift that happened so quickly." They also discussed the strain that Joni's relationship with Doug Weiss, whom she married just months after Marcus's death, caused. When Jonathan's mother unexpectedly remarried, he and his family felt betrayed. Because of her choice, it was mentally and emotionally taxing for them. How could she move on so quickly after her dad died? "She never allowed us to improve," Jonathan muttered under his breath, his anger evident in his voice. "That was painful," he noted. "It felt like she was picking someone else over us." The matter was exacerbated by her contentious marriage to Doug Weiss. The sudden marriage of Joni to Doug Weiss, a Christian psychologist and counselor, shocked the Lamb family and the Christian community at large. Although Doug and the family had been friends for some time, he rose rapidly through the ranks of Daystar following Marcus's untimely death. He became widely known as Joni's new husband and assumed prominent roles on the network without delay. The rapid ascent to power of Doug was one of numerous points of contention between Jonathan and Susie. The rapid promotion of Doug to such a prominent role baffled them. "It was like she was replacing Dad with Doug and we were supposed to just accept it," said Susie. "It felt like everything we had built together and everything our family stood for was being erased." Doug had no experience with the ministry and he had no right to take over as our father's leader so soon after he died. Both the Lamb family and Daystar supporters shared concerns about the haste with which Doug was invited to join the leadership team. Some felt that Joni's decision to marry Doug was an effort to numb the pain of Marcus's death, but many were disappointed that the transition was so abrupt, leaving no time for mourning or reflection. "Mom was so in need of solace following Dad's passing," Jonathan remarked depressingly. The family's already serious problems were brought to light when we examined Joni's mood swings and the accusations of betrayal more closely. She was looking for someone to fill the gap, and I don't think she realized how much it would hurt us. We felt like she was leaving us for Doug without giving us a choice. Jonathan and Susie both claimed that their mother had become increasingly controlling and demanding. Several occasions, particularly those involving Daystar, were brought up in conversation as instances where Joni prevented them from making crucial decisions. He added, "It looked like she was trying to take us out of the picture. She made choices without telling us what they were, and when we tried to voice our concerns, she shut us up or got angry." In addition to these psychological issues, allegations of irresponsible financial management and spending surfaced. According to Jonathan, his mom splurged on things like a lavish wedding trip for herself and Doug Weiss, which reportedly cost Daystar an absurd $100,000 0 cents. With a voice full of rage, Jonathan said, "This wasn't just a personal expense. This was Daystar's money. Money that should have been going to help people, to support the ministry's mission. Instead, it went to fund a lavish vacation. It felt like a slap in the face to everyone who had supported our family and the network for so many years." Claims that the Lamb family was irresponsible with their finances exacerbated tensions within the family. Their mother, according to Jonathan and Susie, had lost touch with the principles instilled in them by Marcus, such as humility, kindness, and honesty. When the Lamb children informed everyone about what they were doing, it became evident that their family was in trouble. Dad would never have let this happen. Susie added, "This wasn't the ministry he built. It's not what he stood for. What was once an example of unity and faith is now a collection of broken people who have given up hope." Their willingness to speak out, Jonathan and Susie, conveyed a powerful message. Their deep desire for accountability and transformation was evident in their expression of hurt. With a heavy heart, Jonathan spoke. "We don't want to split up our family." He continued, "We can't watch our mother keep going down this path. She's not the same person she used to be, and it breaks our hearts." Joni Lamb was once renowned for her leadership in Christian broadcasting, which she executed with poise and power. Everything she has worked for is now at risk because she is caught up in a family scandal. Daystar has taken a hit due to the accusations made by her children, and viewers are questioning whether the network will be able to recover from this public embarrassment. With Joni's deteriorating health and her strained relationship with her children, Daystar's future is clouded in uncertainty. Everything that has happened since Jonathan and Susie broke the news will have an impact on the Lamb family and the millions of people who have supported their cause throughout the years. Only time will tell if the Lamb family can overcome the wounds inflicted by their strained relationships and the gradual erosion of their once solid foundation. Ultimately, this isn't merely a tale of a troubled family, it serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unbridled power, the significance of taking responsibility, and the agony of losing touch with the principles that define one's identity. The Lamb family must cope with their shattered lives as the fallout reveals the terrible truth about Joni Lamb. The public continues to be captivated by the family drama. The Joni Lamb story has sparked a great deal of controversy and shock among Christian media outlets. A once unifying symbol, the Daystar Television network is now mired in scandal, mismanagement of funds, and family betrayal. Before this unexpected turn of events, Joni Lamb was beloved for her compassionate leadership, but now she is the center of attention. Her shocking comments about herself made by Jonathan and Susie demonstrate that she has abandoned the principles she once upheld. A number of disturbing details regarding Joni Lamb's character and behavior have emerged as this story's layers have been peeled back. Perhaps the most tragic revelation is the total breakdown of Joni's relationship with her children. Before her recent treatment of Jonathan and Susie, Joni had a reputation as a caring wife and mother. However, her behavior has severed irreparable family ties. Susie and Jonathan have both expressed how their mother's emotionally distant behavior has caused them great pain and anger. Their complaints show a distant, controlling, and manipulative woman who has alienated the people she once loved most in her family. In the aftermath of their father Marcus Lamb's death, Jonathan and Susie both recalled how their mother had been emotionally and psychologically abusive and unpredictable. After Joni emotionally distanced herself from her children and stopped communicating with them due to her inability to cope with Marcus's death, Jonathan admonished her for her mistake. The warmth and love we once felt from her went into something cold and unrecognizable after her father passed away, according to Jonathan. Her hasty marriage to Christian psychologist and counselor Doug Weiss is a highly publicized and perplexing aspect of her conduct. Her marriage, only a few months following Marcus's death, was a mystery to many, even her own children. Jonathan and Susie have spoken openly about how their mother's hasty marriage left them feeling betrayed. They believe Joni was more concerned with making herself feel better than her family in the wake of Marcus's death than with allowing them to grieve in a healthy way. The marriage was already problematic before Doug Weiss was abruptly baptized into the Daystar Church. Doug was promoted to a prominent position within the network shortly after his wedding. This was taken by many, including Jonathan, as a slight on Marcus's memory. Jonathan lamented, "It was like she was replacing Dad with Doug." He added, "It happened too quickly and too soon, and it made us feel abandoned." Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss is plagued by major issues, but the news that she mismanaged their finances is incredibly devastating. The news that Jonathan Lamb's parents' church, Daystar, had shelled out $100,000, 0 cents, for Joni and Doug's honeymoon came as a shock to many. Since the majority of the network's funding comes from viewer donations, he deemed that amount outrageous and entirely incorrect. Daystar's money should be going to support the work of the ministry, not to fund extravagant personal indulgences, according to him. That honeymoon was against everything Daystar stands for. People gave us money because they trusted us to be good with it. But my mom spent it on a fancy trip just a few months after our dad died. That there has been financial misbehavior shocks everyone in the Daystar group. A lot of people are questioning what happened to the network's reputation for mental health and outreach now that it's in so much trouble. The principles of service and humility that Daystar once promoted are at conflict with Jonathan's criticism of his mother's spending, which causes many to feel deceived. Jonathan Lamb has stated that he feels the Daystar leadership is invading his privacy, in addition to the financial claims. A member of the network's security team secretly installed a tracking device on Jonathan's vehicle, according to him. To him, it seemed like someone was trying to scare him into giving up his privacy. The disturbing allegation adds fuel to the fire, leaving one to question the extent to which the Daystar leaders are prepared to exert control over their own relatives. He pointed out, "This isn't just about me. It's about how this ministry treats people, even its own family. Some individuals have crossed a line and are indifferent to the consequences for others. The leadership of Daystar is now embroiled in the Lamb family's problems." According to Jonathan, his mother's leadership style is problematic because she is authoritarian, insensitive to disagreement, and unconcerned with the concerns of her closest associates. Additionally, he has been enraged by Doug Weiss's meteoric rise at Daystar, claiming that the marriage of his mother to Doug has split the family and altered the organization's objectives. Much debate has broken out in the Daystar community over Jonathan and Susie's accusations that Joni prioritizes her personal relationships over the ministry's mission. "A lot has been going on over the last couple of years that we just couldn't talk about," according to him. "But we've already given all of our evidence to several reporters, including the police." On Friday, November 15th, this journalist obtained Daystar's opinion by calling them. The following day, on November 16th, I was fired. Unsettling events transpired. There was no respite from the constant surveillance, the arrival of private agents, and the threats of physical harm. Speaking with a reporter seemed like our only option. "We did what you said because bringing things to light makes things better," he added. "Despite my many wounds, I felt the Lord urging me to remain in the position He had assigned me and not to flee. Feeling unsafe at home, Jonathan and Susie have taken refuge in an unknown location. Please know that not only has Julie Roy been given all of the evidence and is writing a story that will be out soon, but it's as though she's forgotten the values Marcus instilled in all of us," said the judge. The allegations of abuse that surfaced during a family vacation in 2021 may be the most disturbing aspect of this ongoing story. The Daystar leaders are attempting to cover up a disturbing incident that occurred at the camp involving one of Jonathan Lamb's children, according to Lamb. Claims that the Lamb family's problems were mishandled have further damaged their already damaged reputation, even though the specifics of what transpired are still unclear. The way the situation was handled has been made clear by Jonathan. He claims that nobody paid attention to his family's concerns and that the issue was left unattended. "We were promised healing and support during that retreat, but instead it turned into a breeding ground for dysfunction," he explained. "The evidence has been presented to multiple national reporters, and by this afternoon, they ought to have written stories that will soon be published in the news. This is not what our family was supposed to be about, and it breaks my heart to see how far we've fallen." If he were to say, "You know what? It is the more difficult path where you are obligated to speak," quitting would have been easier. But if he says, "I'm calling you to do this," then we must obey. Despite the difficulties, we are at peace because He has guided us throughout. I want to encourage you by saying that no matter how bad things seem, God always has a broader view. I have faith that He will see us through this if we remain obedient, stand firm in our integrity, and speak the truth. It has still been a difficult journey, so your prayers are still needed and appreciated. Much obliged. The fact that the Lamb family's private issues, which they had previously kept hidden, have now been exposed to the public eye has only served to exacerbate an already terrible situation. Joni's been struggling to cope with the public scrutiny and the consequences of her children's accusations. In a recent interview, she expressed, "I never wanted our family matters to be out there like this." However, she added, "But I can't get away from it, and it's breaking my heart." The exposure of these personal issues has not only caused strain on the Lamb family, but it has also made many question Daystar's future. Faith in the organization is dwindling as allegations of abuse, fraud, and betrayal of family members have surfaced. This casts doubt on Daystar's once promising prospects. The story continues, and it's evident that the Lamb family is reaching a turning point. Marcus and Joni Lamb's mission has been fraught with hardship, but they have remained true to their word. It has been a long road of suffering, but eventually God brings all things to light. God has taught us a lot over the last few years, and we've had to go through some really hard things. But because there's a reason God gave us this proof, I really want you to look at it instead of just going with your gut or what you hear, Jonathan said. Now that everyone has had ample opportunity to repent, it is time to expose the truth. Ephesians 5:11 says, "Take no part in the worthless deeds of evil and darkness, but instead expose them." And Matthew 10:26 says, "For a time is coming when everything that is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all." Jonathan added, "So that's exactly what we're going to see here in the next week or two as these articles come out. I pray that God will cleanse the body of Christ and be honored through a process of repentance. Silenced people will finally have an opportunity to speak out and have their wrongs corrected because of this." Revelations 12 has been overshadowed by a series of scandals and accusations that have rocked Daystar to its foundation. The network, which was once a symbol of Christian honesty and faith, is now in utter chaos, and everyone is wondering what will happen next. Joni Lamb's actions over the past few years demonstrate a loss of focus on the values that once guided her, her family, and her mission. The accusations of financial mismanagement, psychological abuse, and deceit are drastically different from Daystar's beginnings, and they have the potential to undo all the hard work that has been accomplished. Jonathan and Susie have endured a profoundly painful transformation of their mother, and they must feel compelled to speak out. Despite the pain, Jonathan said, "This isn't going to." The truth is at stake here. We still don't know the answers, but one thing is certain. Joni Lamb's actions have changed the course of her family's history in an irreversible way. The effects will be felt for years to come. It's about holding her responsible and protecting the legacy our father built. The Lamb family is still trying to heal and start over, and Daystar's future is still unknown. Will these crimes be enough to bring down their ministry? Or will this be the end of a once great one? This is what we seek.